without further ado, we're just going to kick this thing into gear and get it going. And our first speaker is one of my favorite by far, and we have him up here time and time again, and he just kills it every time. So it's Chris Friedland. And just to start off, a little background on Chris. At the age of 9, Chris had an interest in computers. He grew up in the small town of Weed, California, and started attending classes in community college for computer science. He came to Chico State, acquired a master's in computer science, and then went on to start multiple tech companies and also an angel investor and many more. But by far, Chris's biggest success is the development of Build.com. And Sean, you probably know a little more about the numbers than I do on Build.
I do. So by 2007, Build was doing over $50 million in sales. And in the past 7 years, each and every year, Build has been doing over $500 million in sales through Chris's leadership. So without further ado, let's introduce our very energetic Chris Friedland.
Thank you. Energetic normally. Today it's a tough day for me. I'm a little calorie deprived, but I'm going to do my best to at least, if nothing else, amuse and entertain you. I like to talk a lot, so 8 minutes is a pretty hard constraint for me to follow, but I'm going to do my very best. There's no timer, so you're just going to have to pull me off the stage if I take up too much time. But again, thank you. That was a great introduction. As they mentioned, my name is Chris Friedland. There's a whole number of stories we could talk about over drinks at the bar. But the one most notable is the company that I founded here in Chico while I was a Chico State student called Build.com. And Build.com was founded in the room of my apartment, actually, about over 15 years ago. And I founded it, me and a partner, me and one other kid at Chico State here, and we grew the company, as mentioned, from what was $1 million in sales our first year to, in 2007, over $56 million in sales. And 2007 is an important date because 2007, I did something very, very special. I sold the company for tens of millions of dollars in cash. So yes, I am standing up here as I think in the finance industry they call it a ultra high net worth individual, or at least somewhere in that classification. I am the 1%. I'm the guy that Michael Moore absolutely loves to hate and bash on television. Thank you. But there's a reason why I'm telling you this is because the reason why this all worked out so well for me, again, I love talking about myself, so you're going to get a lot about that too, is because of the MBA that I received at Stanford. No, I didn't receive an MBA at Stanford. Are you kidding me? Stanford would never see me. I had a 2.27 undergraduate GPA. Barely graduated. My plan was actually, since I couldn't do the math to get a bachelor's degree in computer science, I switched to poli-sci and thought I was going to go to law school. And when I came to my law school advisor with this GPA, he said, maybe you should just consider maybe a different type of career path for yourself. And my degree wasn't even in technology, even though I was a software developer. I ended up getting my undergraduate degree in political science. And once I realized that after starting a few other businesses and them not working out, but being persistent on my entrepreneurial path and a general passion about computer science, I decided to finish up. It was going to be easier, I realized, to get a master's degree in computer science than to end up with a traditional bachelor's. So I started on that path. And then once again, flunked out of that as well. With a 2.9 GPA, as everybody knows, you cannot get through grad school. So I had options of like taking golf to get my GPA up potentially, and I wasn't even that good at golf. So fortunately, the business, my third company that I started, really started to take off while I was working through grad school, and I dropped out and it started to scale on its own. So, unlike you guys, I didn't have as clear of a path. Everybody here with good GPAs and has been trained in the ways of how to talk up to these HR people about what they want to hear to get you that first great job of, I like to work in teams, I have all these great extracurricular activities. I didn't have any of that. I was a career center nightmare. So my only option from my perspective was entrepreneurship because I felt like I was relatively unemployable, but it was a little more than that as well too. I knew that the only way that I went to the Career Center and I spent time there and I asked the Career Center people, what job do I apply for or get into if I want to build wealth and get rich? And they looked at me like a dog looking at an algebra book. What are you talking about? Don't ever say that in an interview. Don't ever talk about money in an interview. I said, don't talk about money. That's why we went to school. We went to school because we wanted to achieve more and do something greater. So, and I don't want to pick specifically on anything, but if you go the Career Center path, a lot of this has already been predetermined for you. Actually, all the data is out there, and I don't want to pick on accounting specifically. I don't, but it was the first one up there. So you know that if you spend that $50,000 worth of education, you will earn, on average, nationally, $53,800. Now, however, that includes all colleges. I think Stanford grads probably earn more. Berkeley grads earn a little bit more from Haas. But so pay scale tells me that you're going to earn about $43,000 a year. And if you work really, really hard, 5 years from now, you could be making $58,000 as an accountant. And this is just one trade or path that has been predetermined for you. This is your option. You have done this, and now you may graduate on, and your entire life path is laid out, because Chico State is designed, and state colleges are designed as employee mills for corporate America. People come here not to elect the next great leader, but to find people to be the fuel fodder of their corporations. In fact, the question that I ask is, why even did you come to college if this was your path? Because you could have got out of high school and been making, as a plumber, if you Google median plumber salary, $50,000 a year. More than that entry-level staff accountant, without 4 years worth of misery and all that debt that you're taking off of. Oh, and by the way, plumbers, by the time you get out of school, that same plumber is making $86,000 a year. Am I that loud? I guess I am. So maybe you're picking the road less traveled, and I hope that you are. I hope that you've maybe explored the Chico Center for Entrepreneurship, and I hope that you're looking down the path of maybe creating your own future rather than depending on one that's already been predefined for you. But the problem is you got a lot working against you. Why? Because Chico State is not Stanford. Chico State is not MIT. Chico State does not get the billions of dollars in funding. In fact, the top universities, Stanford and Harvard together, $4.1 billion of funding from 2007 to 2011 in companies of grads that were invested there. You have a huge burden on your shoulders because people don't see you as the place to put their money to invest. People don't see Chico State as a bastion of innovation where venture capitalists are dumping their money. And what really is insult to injury, all these elite schools that get up with all this money, 3 out of 4 fail. And that's even an aggressive number. I've heard 7 out of 10. Why do you not have that opportunity? Why don't you get the same chance? Because you're a Chico State grad. And Chico State grads don't get the same benefit that Stanford or Harvard MBAs get. But I'm here to tell you that that is bullshit. And you have the opportunity to break the mold. Companies are doing it here all the time. Jeff Schlecht at Octiva, Prem at Milestone, Chris Friedland, that one asshole at Build.com. And even on this page is our first notable billionaire, Ken Grossman, who came out of Chico State making beer. You have the opportunity to do this. And the next round of companies that are doing this are happening right now. You've got Pocket Points, business apps, College Scheduler, and poor Jake Wade and his new clothing company, Soul ID, all of these next generation companies. If you can't, and even if you don't think you have the moxie to be the entrepreneur to create one of these, being the number 2 or number 3 is all it takes. Eduardo Saverin's doing pretty good being the number 2, number 3 guy at Facebook. So I'd like to leave you all with 2 quotes. One, I love by a great American, Mark Twain, I never let schooling interfere with my education. Keep that in mind. And number 2, another great Californian that reflects a lot of my life. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled. And that has made all the difference. It sure has for me, and it sure has could you. For you. Thank you.